Well, the European Union wants to expand its global influence and counter China's Silk Road project with a gigantic investment program of its own. Dubbed the Global Gateway, it's intended to advance the infrastructure in emerging and developing countries. The EU plans to invest up to 300 billion euros in the development of modern infrastructure over the next 6 years. The project is a key initiative in the EU's competition with China and is intended as an alternative to the Chinese Silk Road for many partner countries. China, on the other hand, is investing almost €1 trillion in its new Silk Road initiative, more than 3 times as much as the EU. Well, let's bring in DW correspondent Jack Parrot in Brussels to get more on this. Jack, tell us more about what the EU is planning with this global gateway. Where is it planning to spend that 300 billion and on what?
Well, this is the big question, Terry. The reality is that they are going to put together this fund, and then the countries that they're working with, developing countries, Africa, Latin America and Asia, for instance, will actually decide where they want to pitch for projects, and the EU will decide where it wants to work with those countries in projects as well. Now, the European Commission President, Ursula Von der Leyen, when she was announcing this today, she spoke about certain things, for instance, like data communications lines to connect 2 continents. She also spoke about healthcare infrastructure, obviously in the wake of the pandemic. The Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, that's been more related to sort of ports, railroads and roads to get Chinese products and Chinese services out into other parts of the world. So there will also be a focus on your sort of rail and road infrastructure projects as well, Terry.
Okay, this is coming in response to China's new Silk Road program. That program has been widely criticized, Jack, for creating political dependencies, lacking environmental protections, luring poor countries into a debt trap. Are there similar reservations about this Global Gateway project?
Well, the European Union and the Commission President would say no. What they say is that they're offering this money with the relevant expertise, support and the necessary, communications with the developing countries that isn't offered by other projects like the Belt and Road Initiative from China. Take a listen to what European Commission President Ursula Von der Leyen had to say here in Brussels.
We want to show that a democratic, value-driven approach can deliver on the most pressing challenges. We want to show that it can, on one hand, meet local needs, but also, on the other hand, tackle the global challenges we have, and thus, in a way, also, of course, benefit the European Union.
Jack, Europe has been concerned for years about China's Silk Road initiative extending its influence. Why has it taken the EU so long to come up with this response?
Well, I think it's just been a process. It was a real priority for Ursula von der Leyen when she did her State of the Union speech in September this year. As you say, the Chinese project has been going for the best part of the decade now, really. It was launched in 2013 in China, and then actually in 2017, the Chinese government put it into their constitution as a fundamental part of their foreign policy. And that's actually kind of what the EU is doing here. The EU for a long time has been discussing how it wants to change its relationship, specifically with Africa, but other developing countries as well, from donor to investor. And so this is more of a formalization of that process to show that the money that they're giving actually has returns and benefits for the European Union and European Union citizens. Also important to note, Terry, is that this money, while 300 billion euros is a lot of money, a lot of it is already earmarked in the 7-year budget of the European Union. And this is really about how they're structuring it.
Can the EU really compete with China's global investment strategy, given the vast differences in the amount of money they are spending?
That is the $1 million or $300 billion or $1 trillion question, isn't it? China obviously can mobilize. The government has much more control over exactly what they want to do and can send money out, whereas in the European Union, it requires consensus among EU member states. Also important to note, there are countries and governments in the EU who would say that some of this money would be better off spent in the European Union. There are also, Terry, 18 countries who are signed up to China's Belt and Road Initiative projects as well. So there's a lot of money and Chinese influence, therefore, coming into the European Union.
Jack, thank you so much. DW's Jack Parrot there in Brussels.